Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting on Monday, November 15th, 2021 to order of the South Windsor Town Council. First on our agenda is call the meeting to order. Second on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councillor Evans.
Present.
Councillor Kabowski.
Here.
Councillor Lopez.
Here.
Councillor Paterna.
Here.
Mayor Pendleton.
Present.
Deputy Mayor King.
Here.
Councillor Kozakowski.
Here.
Councillor Leidecker.
Here.
Councillor Gambo.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome this evening, here after roll call, we are going to have the presentation of the certificates for the 2020 South Windsor Patriotic Commission Essay Contest winners.
Mayor Pendleton, members of the Town Council, residents of South Windsor, other guests, and students. My name is Roger Anderson, and I serve on your Patriotic Commission. We have 4 other members of the Patriotic Commission here tonight, and I'd like to introduce them. Daria Plummer, Mark Sladek, Bobby Joe Maltz, and Herb Aspel. Oh, I didn't see you sneak in, sorry. So, for many years now, the Patriotic Commission has sponsored an essay contest on a patriotic theme for South Windsor students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade. The 2020 contest was divided into 4 categories. For kindergarten through grade 2, students were asked to create a patriotic poster in red, white, and blue. And the winners have their posters with them tonight to show you. Grades 3 to 5, students were asked to write an essay about their favorite Connecticut Patriot and why. Grades 6 through 8, students were asked to write an essay about what it means to be a citizen of the United States. For grades 9 to 12, students were asked to write an essay about an American patriot who inspired them and why. And tonight, I have the honor of presenting the winners of each category. Would the high school students come over here, please? Do you want to? Okay. Our third place winner, Van Ann Tran, is now a sophomore in Yale. This was because these were 2 years ago. For some reason, she didn't come back. Second place winner, if you would.
Hello, I'm Tammy Madula. I am a junior in high school right now, but I got this second place in 9th grade.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, I'm Justin. I'm the first place winner for 2020. I was a junior when I wrote this, but now I'm a freshman at the University of Connecticut. All right. Thank you. You get it?
Oh, right. Well, and then when he comes back, I read it. Okay. Okay. Let him do his walk around and then
Okay, we'll introduce the rest of them, or wait?
Yeah, and then they can, the ones that you want to have read at the end.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. Okay, if the middle school students, winners could come up, please. Okay, Ryan? Okay, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Ryan Duong. I was the third place winner for the middle school competition at the time I wrote it. I was in 8th grade, and currently I'm a sophomore at the South Windsor High School.
Hi, I'm Bhavni Krishna. I was the second place winner, and I was in 7th grade when I wrote this, but I'm currently a freshman at South Windsor High School.
The middle school was write an essay about what it means to be a citizen of the United States.
My name is Mihika Joshi. At the time I wrote this essay, I was in 6th grade, but now I'm in 8th grade.
Very
Okay, if the 3rd grade through 5th grade could please come up. And the 3rd place winner? Yeah, okay, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Dak Singh. I wrote this essay in 5th grade, now I'm in 7th grade. Congratulations. Thank you.
2nd place winner?
Hello everyone, I'm Vishwash Wajay, and I wrote this essay as a 4th grader, but now I'm in 6th grade, starting middle school.
good for you.
Hello, I'm Girish Prasad. I wrote this essay when I was in 4th grade, but currently I'm in 6th grade.
And now if the kindergarten through 2nd grade, if you could stand up, Mrs. Plummer has a microphone. You can introduce yourselves. The 3rd place winner. Yeah, Jay.
Stand up and introduce yourself.
My name is Jay.
Okay. And what grade were you in when you won?
I don't know.
Oh, what grade are you in now?
3rd grade.
3rd grade, so he was in 1st grade.
Hi, I'm Chloe Pernetta. I was in 2nd grade when I won, and now I'm in 4th grade. Hi, I'm Reagan Burnham, and I'm currently in 4th grade, and I was in 2nd grade when I won.
Justin. Justin, if you could come back up and read your essay, please.
All right, good evening. An American patriot who inspires me the most is George Washington, who served as a heroic general and the first American president. Throughout his time in life, Washington displayed immense courage, determination, selflessness, and devotion to his country, earning him the respect and admiration of many as an inspirational figure. Washington was a man who loved his country, his people, and was even willing to put his life on the line to defend it. In an act of pure patriotism, he became the general of the Continental Army and led men to fight for their country against the British. Though they lost numerous battles in the beginning and faced countless struggles such as harsh winters and threats of being captured, Washington had tremendous courage and determination and refused to give up. His desire to free his country motivated him to make the selfless decision to keep on fighting. His strong leadership held his men together until the end, and this patriotic and courageousness attitude inspires me to always stick with what I'm passionate for, no matter what. It reminds me that in times of struggle or hardship, to never give up and to always look at the bright side and hope. Another key aspect of Washington's glory was his wisdom and also his humbleness and selflessness. After the Revolution, when America was in need of a strong leader who could guide the new nation in a new direction, though some urged Washington to become their king, Washington refused, out of fear of tyranny. Clearly, the sheer courage that it took Washington to say no was tremendous. While many others tried to gain more power in their lives, Washington had the guts and humbleness to deny it and look at the possible consequences. He realized that after the immense struggle the 13 colonies had to go to break away from a tyrannical monarch, the new nation should definitely not be ruled by one, and thus he turned down the position. This rationale, combined with his fortitude and persistence, is what sets Washington apart from others as a truly inspirational figure. The fact that a man would turn down his power out of the good for his own country is what makes Washington extraordinary. It serves as a reminder of how at times we must think of not of what's best for us, but what is best for others and society. I feel that everyone in the modern day, from politicians to just everyday people, can learn a lesson from Washington. He was a leader who could be strong and decisive, but yet also humble at the same time, which cemented him in the history books as well as the minds of many people as the most unique and inspirational American patriots. Thank you.
The subject for the middle school was to write an essay about what it means to be a citizen of the United States.
The essence of America, that which really unites us, is not ethnicity or nationality or religion. It is an idea, and what an idea it is, that you can come from humble circumstances and do great things, that it doesn't matter where you came from, but where you are going. Condoleezza Rice, the former U.S. Secretary of State. To me, being an American citizen is a great privilege, pride, and limitless promise of liberty. America is a land of opportunity, a country of hope, equality, and freedom. However, one should not take the freedom for granted. It comes with the responsibility of each and every one of us to defend our Constitution, democratic principles, and most importantly, protect the diversity, strength, and spirit of America. Being an American means that I have the determination like Franklin Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln. Like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I can dream of equality and an inclusive nation built by men and women of all races, religion, ethnicity, and languages. It means that I can think of changing the world like Einstein, the Wright brothers, Steve Jobs, or Neil Armstrong did. It means that I beat all odds to stand tall on the Olympic podium for my nation, just like Wilma Rudolph and Michael Phelps did. Being an American also teaches me to be empathetic to the less fortunate fellow Americans and work for the upliftment of mankind. It means that I have the brave New York Fire Department firefighter in me, who put duty before self to save several 9/11 lives, or one of the countless veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice for protecting our freedom. Every American should strive for a life worthy of their sacrifices. Being an American is holding the legacy of the heroes and our noble traditions. To celebrate our history and embrace every fellow American regardless of their backgrounds, and to move forward as a stronger nation together. It is my responsibility to protect the American values and uphold the promise of our founding fathers. Being an American is my obligation to do my part and forever keep this great nation the land of the free and the home of the brave. God bless America.
The subject for the 3rd through 5th grade was, write an essay on their favorite Connecticut patriot and why.
My favorite Connecticut patriot is Nathan Hale. I would start with a quote by Joseph Campbell.
A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. I truly think Nathan Hale stood by this quote. Nathan Hale was born in Coventry on June 6, 1755. In 1773, he graduated from Yale College and became a school teacher. Hale later joined the Army. Under the direction of George Washington, Hale volunteered to spy on the British in Long Island. In conversation with a British agent posing like an American sympathizer, he revealed his mission. The British promptly arrested him. On September 22, 1776, Nathan Hale was executed. Hale may not have succeeded as a spy, but he was a true patriot. Lieutenant Frederick Mackenzie, a British officer who witnessed the execution, noted that Hale behaved with great composure and resolution. His last words before execution was, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." These are the words from Joseph Addison's play, Cato. Though this play was a favorite of Hale, I'm surprised how one could say these words at the time of execution. This obviously shows his tremendous courage and patriotism. When I first heard the story of Nathan Hale, I was shocked. When he lost his life, he was just 21 years old. He would have had lots of dreams. To volunteer for such a risky mission and lose life with so much courage and love for the country at that age is unimaginable. On October 1st, 1985, Hale became Connecticut's state hero. I want to recollect a quote by Harry S. Truman. America was not built on fear. America was built on courage, on imagination, and an unbeatable determination to do the job at hand.
We're just going to wait a few minutes for the children to leave. Thank you, Debbie. just a few minutes? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience. We're now on the mayor's remarks, and if the council could indulge me for a minute, please. I need my glasses on. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. I would like to read a proclamation on behalf of the town council to our illustrious clerk of the council, who's been with us for so many years. The Town of South Windsor proclamation, whereas Deborah W. Reed was hired by the Town of South Windsor on October 11th, 1994 as an administrative secretary in the town manager's office. And whereas in the role of administrative secretary, Deborah served as a recording secretary for the Zoning Board of Appeals and Inland Wetlands Agency, where she gained the foundation of her knowledge to serve in her future capacity. And whereas Deborah was then promoted to clerk of the council on March 5th, 2007, and whereas Deborah has provided excellent customer service to the residents of South Windsor, the South Windsor business community, her fellow employees, and many individuals that served on the South Windsor Town Council. And whereas Deborah has been responsible for facilitating the many biennial board and commissions recognition events over the years. Don't walk away, come back. Whereas Deborah has prepared the agendas, legal notices, and minutes for 314 town council regular meetings, 127 special town council meetings, 217 work session meetings, and a countless amount of various subcommittee meetings. And whereas on November 26, 2021, Deborah will be serving her last day as the clerk of the council and will be sorely missed by the South Windsor Town Council. And whereas on November 29th, Deborah will be embarking on her next role serving the town of South Windsor as an assistant town clerk. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Elizabeth Pendleton, Mayor of the town of South Windsor, acting on behalf of the town council and the citizens of South Windsor, thank Deborah W. Reed for her 14 years of dedicated service to the South Windsor Town Council and take great pride in congratulating Deborah W. Reed on her new role as Assistant Town Clerk and wish her the best in her new position. Signed by Mayor Elizabeth Pendleton, for Deputy Mayor Stephen King, Councilors Evan, Gamble, Kaboski, Kozakowski, Lopez, Leidecker, and Paterna on November 15th, 2021. I told them to get yellow, but they didn't have yellow, so we got you right. Thank you, councilors. Continuing with the mayor's remarks, I have something that I'd like to read, please, if I can. It's right here. Okay. Good evening, South Windsor. I'd like to welcome you to our first business meeting of the South Windsor Town Council term 2021 to 2023. I'd like to address a few items before we begin. You will notice the seating arrangement of the Town Council has changed. This has been done with the approval from both parties in an effort to unify our ability to work well together to accomplish our tasks. The Town Council is the elected government body that conducts business for the town. In essence, we are the board of directors. We have a town manager who is our chief executive officer, whom the Town Council gives direction to, and he also advises the Town Council concerning the town's needs. Everyone on this council has experience in a professional setting through either our present employment, past employment, or as an elected official. As mayor, I am asking all council members to remember these three components while we conduct our business meeting: self-respect and mutual respect, and decorum, not only for each other, but for our town staff and our residents as well, who have elected us to advocate for them. I would also like to address the residents who come to speak to us. Please remember this is a business meeting, and I implore you to apply these 3 components also: self-respect, mutual respect, and decorum. You have every right to speak to the town council, but please do so accordingly. As elected officials, we have been charged with governing the town in making decisions that are in the best interest of our community. Let us do so while working together with the self-respect, mutual respect, and decorum. So let's all of us look forward to the many accomplishments we will achieve together over the next 2 years. Thank you. Why did I turn that off? I would like adoption of the minutes. Councilor Leidecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt the current agenda.
Is there any changes to the agenda, submissions, additions, deletions?
Yes, I'd like to, do you need to make a second first?
And first,
Yeah.
you need a second.
Is there a first? A second?
You have to do a
Is there a
second.
second? Second, thank you. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, just a moment of unreadiness. I'd like to make a motion to amend the adoption of the agenda by adding item number 13Q. This is a discussion regarding the position of the clerk of the council, and number 13R, which is a resolution approving amendments to the clerk of the council's job description, the posting, and the position.
Is there there's a motion on the table to change this? Is there a first? Second. Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. And now, do I have to accept it, Debbie, as changed, or is that good? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion, or is there a motion on the floor to accept as amended? First, second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and communications from the reports of the town manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pendleton. In terms of our COVID update, current numbers, we have 2,117 total cases of coronavirus within the community since the beginning of the pandemic. 2,032 of those are past the time of quarantine. We have 24 individuals in the community who are currently infected with coronavirus and 61 deceased at this point. The health department has changed its focus in really holding vaccine clinics for both new vaccinations, and soon we're going to be working on our booster shot clinics. I believe they've held one so far. There is information out there on how to sign up for that, and in order to sign up for it, you actually need to get onto the VAMS website and sign up through the CDC. The clinic is held at, in Evergreen Walk, so it's easily accessible for residents, and you would need to look in there. I think it's every other week that they're holding it at this point. In terms of my report that I provided to all of you, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware and to take note that we have been made aware from the superintendent of schools that they do plan to take and use Wapping School for school purposes moving forward starting in the school year of 2023. I think as all of you are aware, we currently house our Parks and Recreation Department as well as our Facilities Department in that location. And we're going to have to put a lot of work into trying to identify the appropriate location for moving that, particularly the Parks and Recreation Department, to a new location. We hold both our summer camp program there as well as our 4th R programs and numerous other events throughout the year at that location. So I think we're going to have our job cut out for us a little bit in terms of trying to identify the appropriate location moving forward, but wanted to make sure that was on everybody's radar. Additionally, in terms of strategic planning, the previous council passed a resolution identifying a strategic planning committee. I wanted to mention to all of you that you need to seat individuals onto that committee so that way we could start work on our strategic plan. That should be something that all of you are working on in terms of putting that on your radar. In terms of happenings and goings on in the community, probably the biggest thing is going to happen tomorrow morning, which is the opening of Costco. Hopefully everybody will be there for the ribbon cutting. I can say that our town staff have worked a lot in making sure that that facility opens safely, opens on time. There's been a lot of weekend hours, evening hours, daytime hours, every hour of the day going on. They have been working with them and making sure that that construction project gets done effectively. I'm looking forward to it. I had a chance to walk through last week. There was a lot still happening. It's really an amazing construction process, that probably one of the most amazing ones that I've seen to date in terms of large construction to actually occur. So exciting stuff tomorrow with Costco finally finishing. I also wanted to mention to the council that I will be headed to the ICSC retail conference. It's a retail recruitment conference in December. We're currently working with Buxton, who is the company that we've contracted with for identifying new retail opportunities, to identify the individuals that will be at that conference and set up meetings for us to talk to those entities about South Windsor, the great things that South Windsor have to offer, and the reasons why they might want to look at South Windsor for setup of their business here. Also, today I sent to all of you a draft copy of the town attorney RFP, and I think we need to get our town attorney search committee together to review that. I think, as all of you saw in your town council bylaws, we need to get that committee together to review and decide whether we want to actually look for a new town attorney or reappoint the current one, and to go over that process. I believe in order to do that, the council would need to pick one majority member as well as one minority member from the council to sit on that committee. And then I have I believe I have the job of identifying 2 employees to also sit on that committee. So if we could try to get that moving along sooner rather than later, that would be excellent. A couple items not in my written report that I wanted to mention to all of you. First of all, you received an email today to your town email about Security Mentor. I believe, as Mr. Roberts has talked to a number of you, we are going to be asking all of you to take security training for your online access and access to emails and everything else. Unfortunately, as municipalities move into the more technologically savvy age, we have become an identified target for hacking and security breaches and everything else. And as a result, we need to make sure that we're as safe as possible. And this is one of the activities that all of you can take to help in that effort, because it really needs to be a team effort. So all of you have received your first training. I received mine today and actually took it, so I would highly recommend all of you take that. And just as a side note, we are able to see if you took it or not. So there's always a stick involved, right? And then lastly, I wanted to also mention to all of you that we sent, or at least I sent, the copy of last year's budget policy statement to all of you. And we will need some type of a budget policy statement from the council as we're starting to move towards December. Probably mid-December, we're going to start working on the town's budget for next year. Having that budget policy statement provides myself, as well as the rest of the staff in town, the big picture direction of what you're looking to accomplish with the next year's budget. So we sent that draft to you. I would recommend maybe a committee get put together or something. I'd be happy to work with anybody in order to put that together, but we will need that sometime in December. And that is all I have. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Councilor Leidecker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned doing a clinic for the booster COVID shots. Is there going to be any clinics for maybe the 5 to 11 age shots?
There has been some conversation, although I don't know if those are being put together just yet. So we have had that conversation, though.
And then with regards to the town attorney, I know the current town attorney we hired recently. Is it normal practice of the council every 2 years to put out the RFP?
Yeah, they're only hired for the tenure of that council, so for the two-year term. You do have the option of extending it, but I do think it's worth reviewing and discussing.
Thank you.
Councilor Lopez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, for the report. My question has to do with the Strategic Planning Committee. Is there a timeline with that? In other words, does it have to have an output or results by the time a budget is on the table, or?
I don't remember offhand. I'll have to go pull the resolution again. I know the previous council did pass a resolution at one point, and I believe no committee was seated, and then there was an expiration point in that resolution. I'm not sure if there's a new one with the expiration point,
Thank
but
you.
I'll look it up and get you an answer.
All right, thanks.
Councilor Paterno?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, I want to get on to strategic planning as well. I thought in the process there was, after the committee, there was also at least one planning session with the entire council to review strategic plans?
Correct.
Okay. And then, given that the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning Department is going through their next planning of conservation and development, does it make sense to include one or two members of Planning and Zoning in part of this strategic plan so we're kind of all plugged in together here?
Certainly would. You know, there's a number of commissions and committees and task force. And, you know, I think it would make a lot of sense to have members from a number of those different organizations to bring, kind of cohesively bring a lot of different things together.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor King?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just as a reminder for everyone for this, from the Strategic Planning Committee, it's 9 members total, 2 from South Windsor Schools, 2 senior citizens, and then we have a remaining 5, which are reps from diverse gender identities, must be representation from active political parties. All efforts will be made to seek both cultural and ethnic diversity and representation. The town manager, mayor, and the minority leader or their designee will be considered ex officio members with full rights to participate at meetings, but will have no right to vote in the process. So we made a resolution for that. So that goes in line with what you were saying. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's remembrance. If I can have a question for the town manager, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So the only question I have is in regards to an update to Laurel Street. I know back when we first discussed it, we talked about having a speeding sign put up about 6 to 7 weeks or so. I know we've had hurricanes, tornadoes, and all those types of things. If you wouldn't mind providing us with an update in regards to that.
Correct. So the signs are actually, have been delivered, and they should be implemented this week.
My man. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Maniscalco, concerning the committee for the town attorney RFP, we have to form a committee, and Clerk of the Council, if I could ask, we discussed this earlier today. The committee consists of the Committee for Legal Services. The committee shall review the responses. Let's see. The committee shall consist of a council member from the majority party, a council member from the minority party, the town manager, and 2 staff. So I'd like a consensus here to find out if there's any volunteers that would like to be on this committee so we can move forward with that review. If there's anyone that would like to, the minority party, if there's anyone like that to attend that committee for the RFP, to review the RFP to see if we need to hire a town attorney. You'll do it? Okay. Jamie. And I would like to be the majority, if possible, and for the RFP review. And then, so it's a consensus that we are a part of this. So now you know. And you'll be organizing the
Correct.
committee?
Well, what I'll do is I'll have Kathy Senath reach out to all of you to find out what time would work best, and then we can set up a meeting as soon as we can.
Okay. Okay, and then we have, and I think that's good. Is everybody good with questions? And the strategic planning we'll revisit on December 6th. She won't be here, but we'll be able to discuss strategic planning and the layout of that and what it's supposed to be.
The committee, at least, yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, and now we have the public input for items on the agenda. Is there any public that would like to speak? Please state your name and address.
It's Joe Kennedy, 81 Allison Drive. I'd like to congratulate the counselors and thank them for their service. I also like to thank all the town commissioners that work with the town workers to make this town a better place. I also like to thank a lot of volunteers and volunteer groups. I'm going to mention a few that enhances the character and quality of life in town. You have the Lions, you have the JCs, you have the Rotary, you have the Legion. You have people that volunteer for youth sports, religious groups, neighborhood groups, nonprofit groups, individuals, the fire department, who protect property and save lives and saves the town millions of dollars. And, Community Foundation. You have two former town councilors, Jan Snyder and Seal Decker, and they give private monies to volunteer groups and projects. So volunteerism and community service is the best work of life. I want to quickly give you a small update on small pack or agricultural preservation. We have a meeting tomorrow night, and we're going to go over our code of ordinance. We know we want to change our name to the Agricultural Commission. Like I said before, with climate change, and we do have a lot of farms in town, and we will still be land use, preserving land, doing development rights on farms. But you have the zoning board, which is land use. You have wetlands, which protects property, and you have open space, which gives you properties to buy. So I think it'd be good transition. I figure by the second half of January or sometime in February, I'll check with the mayor and the town manager, and we'll have a public hearing. Finally, Friends in Service here, FISH. It's a all-volunteer nonprofit. It's been giving people rides for 50 years to medical appointments in town. Our last full year was in 2019 before the pandemic hit, and we gave over 400 rides. I'd like to read a letter from our nonprofit. General News by Linda Hull and Barbara Muller. FISH has provided nearly 50 years of service to our South Windsor residents and neighbors. In fact, we started our plan for the 50-year celebration in May of 2020 when the COVID crisis locked us down. Sadly, the extended pandemic has made it impossible for us to continue our mission. We regret to tell you that on September 17, 2021, the board voted unanimously to disband the South Windsor chapter of FISH. The answering service has been notified and our number has been disconnected. The South Windsor Senior Center has also been informed. We are heartened by the fact that the center has picked up the slack and has been offering rides to our neighbors in need. Any funds held by the treasurer has been donated to the South Windsor Food Bank. FISH could not have happened without our wonderful volunteers, whether you were a driver or a telephone person finding drivers. We hate to start naming names because we don't want anyone to be forgotten. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention Phyllis and Dale Oswald, Ruth Griffin, Linda Hull, Carol Pandy, who all have volunteered for FISH for decades. Thank you for your dedication and your commitment over the years. It's been a remarkable journey. There is truly nothing like South Windsor FISH, not only in its mission, but also in its longevity. We appreciate each and every one of you and wish you well. Take good care and stay safe. Co-chairs Janet Murray and Maureen Hickey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I'd like to add to that too and say thank you to the volunteers of 50 years of service to our community and all the families and lives that they've helped. Thank you. Moving on, is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none. Item 8, adoption of minutes of previous meetings. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the following Town Council meetings. Public hearing minutes of October 18th, 2021, the ordinance establishing an Arts Commission, and an ordinance governing the flying of a commemorative or organizational flags on the Wapping Community House designated flagpole, and the regular meeting minutes of October 18th, 2021.
Do I hear a second? All those, any discussion? Any changes? Oh,
no.
Councilor Gamble?
No.
Oh, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Well, any
And
abstentions?
Now, any abstention? Yes, I'm sorry, there's an abstention. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Leidecker?
Yes.
Counselor Gamble?
Abstain.
Counselor Lopez?
Yes.
Counselor Kazakowski?
Abstained.
Deputy Mayor King?
Yes.
Counselor Kabaski?
Abstain.
Counselor Paterna?
Yes.
Mayor Pendleton?
Yes,
It's passed.
and the motion passes.
6.
And now we have Councilor Gamble to read the adoption of the minutes of a previous meeting.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the following Town Council meeting. Organizational meeting minutes of November 8th, 2021.
Second.
Phil? Okay. Any discussion, any additions, deletions, changes? Any abstentions? Okay. And Councilor King, you have your light on? Do you have anything to, okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. And motion carries. Item number 9, communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Is there any reports that anyone would like to give? I would just, Councilor King, Deputy Mayor King?
The only thing that I wanted to report on is just, even though I was not the appointed liaison for the Planning and Zoning Committee, was just that they did have meetings in regards to a huge issue in regards to Talbot Lane. And their next meeting, the vote was not had at that meeting, but they will have another meeting on November 23rd as well as November 30th, and they'll be hearing from both parties at that particular time.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would like to report on Veterans Day that took place down at Veterans Memorial Park with the organization of the Patriot Commission and the American Legion, Post 133. The services went over wonderfully. It was a beautiful day, and we had a wonderful crowd down there to acknowledge our veterans of South Windsor. Thank you, veterans. Number 10, items from committees. Are there any? No? Okay, moving on to number 11 is the consent agenda. And we have Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve agenda items 11A through 11AX as the first reading on the consent agenda.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any no abstentions. Okay, there we go. Motion carries. Okay, now we're moving on to X. We gotta flip pages here. Okay. X. Okay, and Councilor Kabaski, we're on page 8. Councilor Kabaski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve agenda items 11AY through 11AFF as a first reading on the consent agenda.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. And the motion carries. And we are now on page 8. What page, Steve? 10? Okay. And this is B. Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve agenda items 11BA through 11BB as a second reading on the consent agenda.
And all those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion carries. Counselor Paterna? You're at page 10.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution appointing Mary Justine Hockenberry to the Human Relations Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Mary Justine Hockenberry to the Human Relations Commission for a term ending November 30th, 2021 to fill the unexpired term of Charles Margolis.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And then we have 11C miscellaneous. There is none. Number 12, unfinished business. There is none. Item 13A is a discussion item. The application, nope, that has been withdrawn. 11A is withdrawn. 11B is, I'm sorry. 13B, thank you. 13B, Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see. Whereas at the Town Council regular meeting held on May 3rd, 2021, the South Windsor Town Council approved the fiscal year 2022 general government budget, which included the lease and the purchase of 2 new lift vehicles and 2 new plow vehicles as part of the Streets Department budget. And whereas the town wishes to enter into a lease and escrow agreement with Key Government Finance as the lessor and escrow agent who requires town council approval to enter into this specific 5-year agreement where the town will own all equipment outright. Now therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council, hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute a lease agreement with Key Government Solutions, known as the lessor escrow agent, for the lease purchase of 4 vehicles.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Mr. Maniscalco, could you please explain this a little bit, please?
Yeah, so in the current budget that we're in, there is funding to lease 4 vehicles for Public Works, as Deputy Mayor King explained to you during the resolution. Essentially, the yearly lease payment would come to about $173,976. I believe it is a 4 or 5 year lease. At the end of that lease, these are municipal leases, so essentially it's a lease to own. So at the end of the lease, we will own those vehicles.
Councilor Kubaski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, I know in the memo you state we're still within budget on this, but did we see any type of a price increase from when we did pass the budget? I'm just curious. I know with materials going up and everything, I don't know if they're a little bit higher.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think it's less of a price increase as it is a challenge to even just get them. So that's why we're here now, in all honesty, at this point in the fiscal year, looking for your approval rather than doing it right away when the budget was approved back in May. So,
thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilor Lydecker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm assuming the memo that we have here dated November 10th, 2021 is in relation to this
correct
resolution. Okay. So the resolution is requesting 2 new lift vehicles and 2 new plow vehicles, but the memo we have discusses 4 new plow frontline trucks.
They're one and the same. They're just slightly different explanations for the leasing company. They're slightly different ways that the leasing company is explaining them. So, because it's the easiest way to look at it is it's four trucks furnished with plows and sanders, but the leasing company identifies them differently, is my understanding. So,
okay, so we can assume then that what's in the memo is accurately then reflected here, even though it's broken up into 2 different types of vehicles.
Unfortunately, the challenge that we have is financing organizations like to describe things differently. So,
thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. And then we have 13C. Counselor Lydecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a transfer from the General Government Sundry account to the Miscellaneous General Professional account. Whereas there have been growing challenges to ensure all town assets and provide the most complete liability, automobile, property, and workers' compensation coverage with events over the past few years, and whereas, given the specialized nature of risk management, the town and Board of Education feel it is proper to obtain technical advice and risk management services, and whereas the Board of Education had previously engaged the services of USI, an insurance brokerage risk management firm, the Board of Education will execute a contract that covers both the town and Board of Education with USI for insurance brokerage risk management services to include, but not limited to, benchmark and insurance renewal services for potential budgetary savings, ensure proper cyber insurance coverage and consultation, independent contract review to protect the town and Board of Education, third-party subrogation, and whereas the total contract for fiscal year 2022 with USI is $16,667 and will be split equally between the town and Board of Education, and whereas the town has received a member equity distribution in the amount of $79,275 from KERMA, which was placed in the General Government Sundry account for fiscal year 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the town's share of said contract and the transfer of $8,334 from the General Government Sundry account to the Miscellaneous General Professional account to pay for the town's share of insurance brokerage risk management services with USI.
Is there a second? Thank you. And any discussion? Mr. Maniscalco, please.
Yes, so essentially what we were doing is we're working with the Board of Education to hire somebody who, one, they do risk management, but they're also going to review our current insurance companies that we've currently contracted with to see if there's any ways that we could identify savings for the community. Also, if there's any gaps in our insurance coverage, things of that nature.
Councilor Lydecker?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I never turned it off.
Okay. Mr. Maniscalco, excuse me, this person that you're going to be hiring or firm that you're going to be hiring to do this analysis, is this is a short-term, one-time type of person, event?
I believe it's hiring them for 1 year, although in the event that we do find significant savings or identify or open up, you know, significant projects, for lack of a better term, we may keep them on longer. But again, remember, they're being hired through the Board of Education, not through the town. So what the town is doing is transferring the funds to the Board of Ed to pay the Board of Ed for our portion of that service.
And so we don't know if this person is going to become a full-time person of our staff, or?
No, they're not going to be they will be a contractor.
They're
not
contractor,
gonna be an
thank you.
employee.
And we know that we'll be receiving equal sheriff services right along with the Board of Education?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of our insurance services are actually shared with the town and the Board of Ed anyways. So in order to, you know, look at workers' comp or look at some of the other different lines of insurance that we have, they need to look at both anyways, so.
Any other questions, discussion? Councilor Lydecker?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Now I do have a question. Can you just explain for the members of the citizens and some of the newer council members, the distribution that we received from KERMA, what that was for and why we're using that to pay this for USI?
Sure. So annually KERMA reviews its both its profits and what it's paid out, and what it'll do on a well, actually, let me take a step back. KERMA is a municipal insurance agency in the state of Connecticut, and they provide insurance, I believe, to almost all the towns in the state. If it might be minus a couple, but to just about every single one. And it's managed and driven by member municipalities. So a lot of their board members are municipal CEOs from other towns. Annually, every year, they'd sit down, they take a look at what they had to pay out, the profit that they made on the different payments from different towns, and they, in the event that they do have a significant profit margin, they turn around and they return that money to municipalities. So I believe last year we actually received approximately $70,000 back from KERMA as a result. So part of that is because of the good management of the town and how we have managed our claims and made sure that we conduct risk management effectively and that sort of thing. The other part of it is also the fact that KERMA had a good year and managed their risk management effectively and that sort of stuff. So that's money that comes back to the town from KERMA, and we thought it would be a good use to put some of that towards identifying this risk manager to find additional savings and insurance possibly.
Councilor Lopez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not getting. So $16,667, it's not the premium that we pay, it's the service fee that we will provide to this consultant.
Yes.
And in addition to that, will there be any bonuses for that consultant for any mitigations of sorts?
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look into it for you.
Thank you.
Councilor Kozakowski?
Thank you. I love the idea of, going through our practices and finding opportunities to find, efficiencies and savings, as well as find, gaps and exposures. Has the town done this before?
I believe it was undertaken a number of years ago, but not during my tenure yet. So this was something that, we've talked about significantly over the last year. Just kind of looking at the way some things have been transpiring with our insurance companies and carriers, and additionally also the idea that we need to start carrying cybersecurity insurance. It kind of brought to light that maybe this is a place that we should really sit down and take a look at. I've done this in previous positions before, and we kind of got to this conclusion that this was a direction we wanted to go, met with the Board of Education, and they were on board as well. So that kind of is how we got to where we are.
Any other questions, discussion? Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 13D, Councilor Gamble.
Resolution authorizing Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to execute and deliver any and all documents deemed to be necessary or appropriate to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security on behalf of the Town of South Windsor. Be it resolved that the Town of South Windsor may enter into, with, and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security any and all documents which it deems necessary or appropriate for the Memorandum of Agreement regarding use of federal fiscal year 2021 State Homeland Security Grant Funding and Custodial Ownership of Regional Assets in Demis Region 3, and be it further resolved that Michael Maniscalco, Town Manager of the Town of South Windsor, is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Town of South Windsor and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of the Memorandum of Agreement regarding use of federal fiscal year 2021 State Homeland Security Grant Funding and Custodial Ownership of Regional Assets in Demis Region 3, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble. That was one long sentence. I was breathing for you. Good job. Is there a second? Okay. Any questions? Any discussion? Mr. Maniscalco, would you like to fill us in, please?
Yeah, so this is an annual grant that the town applies to through the state. It's allocated, I believe, on a per capita basis. All municipalities are eligible for it, and we receive X amount of funds as a result. I can't give you an exact number right now since our population in the community has changed due to the most recent census, so we'll find out what the new number is probably going to be shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. All those in favor? Did I ask for a second? I did. I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 13E. Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution waiving the competitive bidding process for Hyperwall and authorizing Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute an agreement. Whereas the support contract for the software maintenance and licensing for the Emergency Operations Center video wall and associated systems is due to renewal at the end of this year, and whereas the sales, service, and support from the current vendor have been unacceptable and unprofessional to the point the South Windsor Information Technology Department has been extremely unhappy with the company and has been looking for a replacement. And whereas the software manufacturer Hyperwall has offered the town of South Windsor a contract to work directly with them and are currently offering 2 years of support for the price of one, in addition to a $5,000 full system audit at no cost. And whereas the intimate knowledge of their own systems will allow them to provide incomparable support, along with the fact that they will be providing services totaling over $25,000 that the town will be paying just over $10,000 for, we believe that it is in the town's best interest to waive competitive bidding and allow the IT department to enter into a 2-year agreement with Hyperwall directly. And whereas the contract cannot be purchased through Hyperwall and must be purchased through an authorized third party, and whereas Callisto Communications is currently a vendor for the town, is an authorized Hyperwall seller and has already received the proposal from Hyperwall and provided it to the town. And now, therefore, be it resolved that South Windsor Town Council hereby waives the competitive bidding process and authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute an agreement with Hyperwall and any other documentation necessary.
Is there a second? And discussion? Mr. Maniscalco, would you like to any questions? Would you like to help us out here to understand this?
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're looking to identify a new company to help us service the located in the Emergency Operations Center. We've had a couple issues with the previous company that was helping us do that, and this is the one that the town staff have evaluated and determined to be the best fit for meeting the needs that we have. I think as all of you understand and saw probably when you were in the Emergency Operations Center, that is a very high-tech specific piece of equipment that requires some very specific service. And when we need it to work, unfortunately. So this will help us in making sure that happens.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Councilor Lopez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. I have a couple of questions. One of them is, there's nothing at the state level that is tying us to the prior vendor?
On the state level?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if Mr. Roberts is shaking his head no, so.
Okay. And the second, I think I mentioned this about 2 years ago, but to avoid times when service is unacceptable and unprofessional, will the contract have something for the new vendor to start paying us when something like this happens?
So like a penalty, essentially?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the actual contract yet, but we can certainly make sure that's added in if, okay. I don't know if you have anything else, Scott.
One thing that's important to recognize is that in the past contract, one of the added resellers provided both hardware and software support as a third party. Based off what we found with that, we decided that we'd want to go directly with Hyperwall. Hyperwall is the manufacturer of the software. So going directly with them, we're going to get the best service. They're the makers of the software. There's no one that knows it better than them because they wrote the code. The problem is, as a reseller like Microsoft, you can't buy directly from the manufacturer, so you have to go through a third-party vendor. So Callisto is our hardware provider for the electronics behind the scenes. So we're going to contract with them, but we're working directly with the manufacturer, the coders that actually wrote the Hyperwall technology. So we're anticipating that we're going to get the best service possible since they created the software.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Thank you. It's just a notion that we do it at the Hartford Insurance when we have a new vendor. We usually put that stipulation there, but I thought maybe can be done.
I mean, we certainly could put some sort of clause in the
Yeah, we can
contract.
certainly try to get something in.
Thank you. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only question I have is in regards to, I see and I'm fine with this to the point where it says we're going to enter into a 2-year agreement with Hyperwall directly. So my only question is, after the 2 years, how does that work? Do all of a sudden they say, hey, we did a great job, now we go back up to full retail? Do they say, hey, thanks for using us when you really didn't have to, we're still going to continue the discount? How will that work?
Great question. That was my question exactly.
Yeah, that very well could happen, although I think, you know,
I see Scott bounce.
Lifetime of the Hyperwall 2 may also be getting up there as well, so I'm not sure where that's going to fit into it.
With every piece of software, there are a bunch of added resellers.
Right.
So the problem is that we went out with this one added reseller, it's supposed to be the best in the East Coast and everything, and had all kinds of problems. And I don't want to get into it in public forum of what the issues were. But right now, the manufacturer is giving us a 50% discount. Most added resellers have a margin anywhere from 40% and less to resell their software, because that's how they make money, right? They buy it at wholesale, sell it at retail, and whatever margin they can get is how they make their money. So when this contract's over, if all of a sudden Hyperwall turns to us and says, hey, we're not going to offer you any discount, well, then we'll go out with an RFP and see which other added resellers are out there and what discount they're willing to give us. So we would certainly go back out in the marketplace and see who is available to us. And as Mike said, who knows? Maybe by that time we're going to be evaluating the Hyperwall technology all together, and maybe we'll go with, you know, ABC Corp for the technology at that point.
Awesome. Thank you. Yep. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, the motion carries. 13F, Councilor Kubaski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution referring the purchase of 220 Scantic River Road to the Planning and Zoning Commission pursuant to Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and authorizing Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute a purchase and sale agreement. Whereas the town is interested in purchasing a property located at 220 Scantic Road, and whereas any plan to use town funds to acquire property must be submitted to the South Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission for a report pursuant to Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes, now therefore be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby refers the purchase of property located at 220 Scantic Road to the Planning and Zoning Commission pursuant to Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute the purchase and sale agreement and any documents necessary to carry out such purchase.
Thank you, Councilor Kubaski. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Paterno.
Yeah, I'd like to share some background information on this with you. I've been working with this group. They're out of East Windsor. It's a 501c3 that owns this property. It's roughly 19 acres along the Scantic River. And from that property, you can get a canoe or a kayak down the Scantic River to the mouth of the entrance to the Connecticut River. They are interested. They bought the property with the idea of developing a park there, and they realized they can't do it. So they are offering the property to us for a total price of $1. They've asked us to just pick up the legal fees, which we estimate is going to be in the neighborhood of $2,000. But a 19-acre piece of property is a couple $100,000 if you were buying it out on the open marketplace. So Park and Recreation has been invited to take a look at it, and they see incredible potential there for a waterfront park. If you drive up Route 5 and you know where Draghi Farms is, the orchard, take a right on that road, and the first road is the entrance to this park, Scantic River Road. So that's kind of the background. Hard to pass up when somebody wants to sell you something for $1. That can be and the only thing they've asked us for is if, when we develop the park, if residents of East Windsor could also use it. I think that's reasonable. So that's some background on where this piece is coming from.
Thank you, Councilor Paterno. Councilor Kazakowski?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Paterno, for a little bit of background. One quick question before we get any further. Are we, does this include the land that would be in East Windsor as part of the acquisition? Because I know it doesn't front any streets in South Windsor, so.
Yeah, so you have to go from a road in East Windsor to get to the property, but all the property is in South Windsor.
Okay.
It's kind of an odd scenario.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Okay, well, first I just want to say I'll support this acquisition moving forward to the Planning Zoning Commission for a referral, assuming that this is not going to be the only time that it's going to be reviewed by the council. I'm always always interested in the opinions on the matters like this from the Planning Zoning Commission, and as it relates to complying with the Town Plan of Conservation and Development. I feel like I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage here as a new counselor because I haven't been really part of the process until now. So I do have a few questions. You can answer now or at an appropriate time later. That's fine. Couple of questions. What is the intended use of the property? How has the land previously been used? Who initiated the conversations about selling to the town? Has an environmental assessment been completed? How will the property be accessed by town staff and or town residents? And has an appraisal been done on the property?
Yeah, so current use, as Councilor Paterno mentioned, it's currently being used by the Scout Hall Group as access to the river. Previous use is it's basically been open space. It is next to a housing development. Outside of that, I don't believe it's had any other previous, like an industrial use or something of that nature. We do have worked into the purchase and sale agreement an identified time period that will allow us to do an environmental assessment. To what level we end up doing that, I don't think it's going to be super, super deep. We were told by the Scout Hall Group that that was done actually in the history of the property already. And have asked for them to share that with us. My hope is that they would share that with us when we enter into the purchase and sale agreement, and that they would share that over the 90-day period. I'm trying to think, in terms of intended use, it would be for park property. Really, the whole idea is that it would provide an area where residents could drive into, park their car, put a canoe or kayak into the river and create, I think we've all heard of the term greenways. The idea is to turn the Scantic River into what could be considered a blue way, allowing people to paddle their way out to the Connecticut River with the ultimate goal of allowing people to paddle all the way to the Connecticut River and then get out at Vibert Road. Creating a larger kind of connected piece of area where people could enjoy some of the natural aspects of our community. Did I hit most of them, I think?
Yeah, I guess just one thing that I want to understand a little bit better. As far as access, obviously through the river would be one access point.
Yep.
But I can't imagine any town staff needing to maintain the property, approaching it by boat. Is there, if we're only acquiring the land that's in South Windsor, then I can assume that they are retaining some land in East Windsor.
So there is, how do I explain it? So there's a road from East Windsor so you really just leave South Windsor for a matter of seconds. You go down this road in East Windsor that cul-de-sacs right at the end of where this property begins. So, and that is a public road owned and maintained by the town of East Windsor. So for our staff, they would have to just hop off over the line, come down that public road, and then they would be in the town property at that cul-de-sac.
Okay, so that parcel has frontage on a road.
Yeah, there's a cul-de-sac there.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
It is a confusing piece of property because it's right there on the line. It really is.
Councilor Lydecker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my questions aren't as in-depth, so I'm a little embarrassed going second. But that access road, because it's East Windsor, I know there's been back and forth conversations, I think through open space, and we may have discussed it here too. Will East Windsor still be maintaining that road, even though we're taking over kind of that property? And
it's an East Windsor public road, so they have a responsibility to maintain it.
Well, I think that was some of
Yeah.
the discussion, so that's been resolved now that East Windsor will be the one maintaining the road and will be
Yeah,
the one
they have,
maintaining
I
that
mean,
property.
unless they want to start annexing East Windsor property to South Windsor, which I don't see happening anytime soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's just say they asked us to plow the road and we said no.
Yeah.
Counselor Kowalski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure if this should be going to Councilor Paterna or to Mr. Maniscalco, but have there been conversations with the Scantic River Association because I know they're working their way down,
Yes.
clearing fallen trees and stuff like that. So in order to being very familiar with the Scantic River,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of trees that are down. So are they prepared to come down now and clear all of that?
Right. Madam Mayor?
Help yourself.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that association. They have cleared that river from Enfield all the way down to South Windsor, basically. And what they're looking to do is continue, hoping to get some South Windsor volunteers to work with them, obviously. But yes, they want to continue all the way down to the Connecticut.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor
Maybe
Paterna?
right by your house, Phil.
Counselor Paterna? Any questions? Any more discussion?
The only other thing I think I missed for Councilor Kozakowski was who approached whom about the property. And they really kind of came to us more or less. I think it got to the point where they were not able to, manage that property effectively and take care of it appropriately. So they kind of reached out to us.
Okay, seeing no more questions or comments, all those in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Item 13G is discussion item, acquisition of 1052 Pleasant Valley Road and 291 Clark Street, requested by the town manager, Mr. Michael Maniscalco.
So as all of you can see in your packet, there is a letter from an attorney that is basically offering those two properties to the town at no cost. Basically, and then I put a little map in your packet as well that'll identify where they are. There's a lot of wetlands there, I believe, so, and it does kind of connect in with some of the town's open space that we have in the back there. It's being offered to the town at no cost. If the council's interested in moving forward with that, I'd be happy to reach out to them and see what we could do to get everything together and signed and moved over.
Is there any other questions? Okay, Councilor Paterna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, if I'm not mistaken, this property actually, if you walk through those trails, you eventually wind up at the walking trails at Evergreen Walk. Does it go back that far?
I think you could get there.
You can get there.
You'd probably have to cross some streets though. But this is kind of back where the power lines are.
So there is, okay, I
Yeah.
thought there was no street there, okay.
You'd probably have to cross Clerk Street.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Maniscalco, is this a property that goes back, that would connect to Stanley, Quarrybrook area, going down the power lines over to Wapping Park?
Yes, this would get you to those power lines. Correct.
Okay.
And just from a process perspective, just to make sure I was clear about that, really I'm looking for some kind of unofficial nod at this point to reach back out and say, yeah, we're interested, at which point we'll come back to you with a resolution looking for an 824 and authorizing me to sign any agreements and all that sort of stuff.
Councilor Kozakowski?
Thank you. So I did a little quick research, and I saw that the property owner purchased the property in 1995 for $80,000. Fast forward 20 some odd years, and they want to give it to the town. Any idea why it was purchased?
No clue.
No clue. Okay. All right, and so if I got this right, so there's a parcel that is on Clark Street that you can access from Clark Street, and then it extends to the back towards a parcel that is currently encumbered by Eversource power lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we know anything about, so assuming that there's an easement to Eversource over that property,
Probably.
do we know anything about that easement yet? If it has any, restrictions, for public access or anything that, could provide it?
Not at this time. I can certainly try to do some digging and find it out for you in the interim period, if this is something you're really interested in kind of pursuing.
Okay.
Any other questions? None? Go right ahead.
You can see on the GIS map, I think was some of the materials they provided that. Soil flow. It's mapped as wetlands.
Yeah.
Confirm that just because the GIS shows wetlands doesn't certainly that there is you need to get the wetlands certified delineated by us. That aside, do we know of any sort of wetlands reports that has been submitted to the property?
I don't, but again, I can, yeah. Yeah, I don't have any wetlands reports on it at this time, but I certainly can go get those before we come back to you for a formal approval if it's something you're interested in.
So then, coming to us as a donation and for the property owner to provide as much information that they have available to us. Thank you.
Can do.
Deputy Mayor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just so I'm clear on this, is this something that you're looking for us to make a motion on? Or is this something that's more for informational purposes only?
Looking for you guys to say, yeah, we're interested, or don't waste your time on it.
Right, and if that is the case, then you will go out and pursue
I'll
it to
get the
Counselor.
extra few pieces of information.
You'll get all
We'll get
that.
some type of an agreement put together. We'll get the resolution in front of all of you, and then we can go.
Copy that, thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to take a consensus on the discussion item. If y'all could give a thumbs up to as a consensus for Mr. Maniscalco to move forward on this property. We have a 1, 2, 3. Yes? Yes.
I see
Okay, we
nods.
have a
That works.
consensus, Mr. Maniscalco. Thank you. And we have 13H now, discussion item appointing a member to the Connecticut Water Customer Advisory Council requested by Town Manager Michael Maniscalco. And we also have a memo in here that explains that a little bit, but Mr. Maniscalco, if you could, please.
Sure. So we were made aware that Connecticut Water has a advisory council and that we need to appoint a representative to it. It sounds like there's a number of municipalities involved in it. A number of the other municipalities have representatives, although we were identified as not having a representative. So it seems like that individual needs to live in town. They need to be a Connecticut Water customer. So that's kind of, to me, that seems like it's most of everything that they would need. I have yet to identify an individual myself who's in the Connecticut Water, who's a Connecticut Water customer. So I would throw it all to you to see where you live, and if somebody wants to identify somebody who's a Connecticut Water customer that might be interested.
Mr. Maniscalco, I'm reading here, town representative must be a Connecticut Water customer, but cannot be an employee or officer of the company. We would be considered officer of the company?
An officer of Connecticut Water.
Okay,
The
so
Connecticut Water
could it
Company.
be a council member that serves on this?
Certainly.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure who has Connecticut Water sitting up here. I think
don't.
a lot of us have MDC. You do?
Uh-oh.
Oh, Jamie, you're the guy.
I move
There you
that.
go.
I move that, Jamie.
There you go. There you go. So, Counselor Gamble.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Before Council Gamble is put on the spot, do we know how often this group is going to meet, or?
I don't think that they meet very often, in all honesty. It sounds to me very similar to like the, what was it, the Cable Advisory Commission or some of those types of things. So it might be like once a year, maybe twice a year at the most.
Okay, Counselor Gamble has
He's like, "I'll do that."
graciously volunteered to be on the Connecticut Advisory Council. Thank you.
As a point of order, is that something that's going to come to an agenda, be as an agenda item to appoint, or can we just, lessen?
Oh, we could make it official. I'm adding it to our list right now, being that it's new. It's an advisory council, the Connecticut Water Advisory Council, and he can come back and report to us, I suppose, if need be, for the Connecticut Water, and we could make it official, absolutely. And maybe this is just an mayoral appointment at this point, a mayoral appointment at this time. So we'll add it to our listing. Okay? I don't know if a resolution is needed for that. I was thinking of putting it on here and doing it as a mayoral appointment with our listings for our council committees. Okay. As a committee of the council. Is that okay? Go ahead, Clerk of the Council.
I think that's something we should probably look into, just because I'm thinking of other...
Whatever you think is the correct way to do it, we'll do it, but we do have a volunteer. Let's make this happen. Oh.
Okay. I'll look into it and...
Okay. Figure out the correct way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, why don't you put it on your list?
Yep.
That way it will be covered tonight, and then if it's not supposed to be that way, I'll let you know.
Okay. And then we'll make it official with the resolution if need be. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Appreciate that. Okay, now, people are laughing. Okay, 13I, discussion item. The town, oh, look at that. Now we're on the town council liaisons and boards and commissions, standing committees, and committees of the council. And that was requested by myself. Before you at your seats is the standing council committees that we all have, of which now the Connecticut Water is going to be going on there. It's an advisory council. And where would that be, Deb, do you think? Under our committees, or would that be under, I would say, maybe liaison? Under liaisons? No. Committees? Mayoral, okay, okay. So now we have that under there. Okay, so everyone has before them the standing council committees, and I'm just gonna run down the list. We have the ad hoc space needs as the council as a whole. We have number 2 is the audit committee, which is Counselor, I'm just gonna say you guys' names if that's okay, first names. Phil, Cesar, and Steve. We have capital projects, myself, Andy, and Merrick. Crumbling Foundations is Steve and Jamie. Energy Committee is Andy, Merrick, Cesar. Ethics Committee is Karen, Andy, and Phil. Naming of Public Lands, Erica, Liz, and Jamie. Pension Committee is Karen, Andy, and Phil. Personnel is Liz, Steve, and Merrick. South Windsor Agricultural Arts and Nature Center is Andy, Erica, Jamie, and Phil. Then we have temporary council committees, which is the Accessibility Advisory Committee, and that's Andy. We have the strategic planning I just added to our list, which we need to do. Then we have the legal search committee that I've added on this evening, and then we'll have the Connecticut Water also on there, which is graciously Councilor Gamble, thank you. And then flipping the page, we have the board and commissions liaisons. We have Board of Education liaison is Karen. Economic Development is Andy. Historic District is Cesar. Housing Authority, Cesar. Human Relations, Erica. Inland Wetlands, Steve. Insurance Control, Karen and Phil. Juvenile Fire Setters, Liz. Library Board, Jamie. Mass Transit, Erica. Open Space Task Force is Merrick. Park and Recreation is Erica. Planning and Zoning is Merrick. Patriotic is Liz. Public Building is Phil. Senior Advisory is Andy. Social Justice and Racial Equity, Erica. South Windsor Arts, Erica. South Windsor Alliance for Families, Erica. SWALPAC is Andy. WPCA is Steve. And Zoning Board of Appeals is Jamie. Now, Councilor Paterna, SWALPAC, was that name not changed? No, just the Okay, so we need to change that, Deb, to the Agricultural Commission for SWALPAC. Has it changed yet? It has not changed yet. Go ahead.
Yes, it has to change by ordinance.
Do we have that set up and ready to go for December 6th?
No, they're not ready to go. They're just bringing it to their committee.
Got it, thank you. So we're going to keep it as that until the change occurs. With all that, Councilor Paterna.
Yeah, Mayor Pendleton, Madam Pendleton, thank you. Sorry, my mistake, but we voted and gave them the okay to start the process. That's what happened, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. With seeing the list before us, is there any objections, changes that are going to be needed? I'd just like to thank the council for working with me so diligently with your suggestions and your requests, and I hope that I've met everyone's requests in the way that they feel comfortable and where they're at. And it can change along the way if need be for whatever reasons. So we'll move on with just a consensus that's acceptable to everyone on the council? Yes? Yes? Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Okay, moving on. 13J is a resolution approving a refund of taxes to 50 South Windsor taxpayers. Councilor Evans?
Resolution approving a refund of taxes to 50 South Windsor taxpayers. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of property taxes to 50 South Windsor taxpayers, the total of said refunds being $27,128.23, and as more fully described on attachment Exhibit A.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And the motion carries. Oh, any opposed? I'm sorry. Okay, and the motion carries. And 13K, Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a refund of taxes to 48 South Windsor taxpayers. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of property taxes to 48 South Windsor taxpayers, the total of said refunds being $15,865.02, as more fully described on attached Exhibit B.
Second. Any discussion? Okay. Late. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. 13L, resolution accepting the resignation of Alan Cavagnero as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Alan Cavagnero, an alternate from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective November 6, 2021, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Alan Cavagnero for the time that he has dedicated to serving his community by his membership as an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Alan, and best of luck to you in the future on the Planning and Zoning. And is there a second? And any discussion? Okay. Any opposed? All those in favor? Okay, and the motion carries. Okay. 13M, Councilor Kozakowski.
13M, resolution accepting the resignation of Carol Kelly from the Public Building Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accept with regret the resignation of Carol Kelly from the Public Building Commission effective October 31st, 2021. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Carol Kelly for the time she has dedicated to serving her community by her membership on the Public Building Commission.
Do I hear a second? Is there a discussion? Any opposed?
No.
A discussion, Councilor Kubowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to thank Carol Kelly for her work on the Public Building Commission. I served with her for a number of years. She served as my vice chair for 2 years. She asked very good questions, very well thought out questions, and she's definitely going to be missed from that commission.
Thank you. Councilor Paterna?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to add my thanks to Carol Kelly. I know exactly what Councilor Kowalski has been saying in terms of her dedication, her determination, and she was on the Public Building Commission at a time when we were going through a lot of building of new schools, and she was reliable, always there. Appreciate her input, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kelly, for your dedication and volunteerism to the town of South Windsor. And all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. 13N, Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution accepting the resignation of Michael LeBlanc from the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Michael LeBlanc from the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Commission effective October 20, 2021, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Michael LeBlanc for the time he has dedicated to serving his community by his membership on the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Commission.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. And I would like to say thank you to Michael for your dedication and service and volunteerism to the town of South Windsor. And all those in favor? Any opposed? No? And the motion carries. 13O, Councilor Kubaski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution accepting the resignation of Robert Burns, an alternate from the Economic Development Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Robert Burns, an alternate from the Economic Development Commission, effective October 24th, 2021. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Robert Burns for the time he has dedicated to serving his community by his membership as an alternate on the Economic Development Commission.
Is there a second? Thank you, and thank you for your time, Mr. Burns, for volunteering for South Windsor and your dedication to our community. And is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 13P, Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you. A resolution accepting the resignation of Elizabeth Warren from the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accept with regret the resignation of Elizabeth Warren from the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission effective November 8th, 2021. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Elizabeth Warren for the time she has dedicated to serving her community by her membership on the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any kind of discussion?
Yes.
Councilor,
I did.
Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
yes, Councilor.
No, go ahead.
Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to add my thanks to Betty Warren. I know she's served on a number of commissions, not just the Inland Wetlands Commission. A longtime farmer in South Windsor, Connecticut, who has her roots pretty deep in this town. And I got to know Betty, especially when she was part of the planning committee for the farmers market, and her dedication to supporting farming in this town was second to none. And we will miss her involvement, and I want to say thank you for all her hours of work. Thank you, Betty.
Absolutely. Deputy Mayor King.
I just want to thank Ms. Warren. When I first was appointed to the commission, she was one of the people that embraced me. I had no idea what inland wetlands, anything, was about. And she taught me a lot and was very patient in regards to talking things through. And so I can't be thankful enough. I will miss her, even though I'll just be a liaison. But her knowledge and her wisdom, especially in asking questions and making sure that the town was very much looked after in regards to the Inland Wetlands Committee. So she'll be missed.
Very well put, Deputy Mayor King. It's absolutely true. Her knowledge and her wisdom, and I want to thank Ms. Warren. Thank you so much for the hours and the time that you volunteered for our community. With that said, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. The motion carries. Item 13Q is a discussion item. I'm sorry? Okay. 13Q, discussion item, position of the clerk of the council, and that is requested by the Assistant Town Manager, HR, Vanessa Perry.
So we have a resolution here. Do I just do this resolution?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Discussion items first.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Do you mind if I stay sitting here?
No, go ahead. Just
Okay.
speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
Okay, so we have a few things we need to get in order for us to be able to post the position. So I just wanted to make sure I could capture everybody's changes and concerns and all of that. So I did send everybody an email on Friday, as well as I received some questions from all of you over the weekend. today, and I did reply to, I took all of those questions and sent them off to all of you with my answers. So I didn't know if there were any other questions you guys had or how you wanted to move forward with this.
Councilor Lydecker?
Yes, if I may just have one question. I wasn't able to review this to get my questions in on time. But when I was looking through this, you mentioned it looks like an addition in the posting. It's the addendum to the clerk position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6. So on the weeks that if they choose to work until 7, so every week they're then going to leave early on Friday? Or can they decide based on whatever their personal schedule is to change that day from week to week, that they're essentially leaving early to make up for that working till 7?
So selfishly for the town manager's office, we would prefer they didn't leave early on Fridays because we only have one person in our office that usually stays until 1. Most of the time I stay until about 4:30 anyways, but just in case I do have to leave at 1 o'clock, it would be nice to have them maybe come in late one day or even come in late on the Monday of the council meeting.
Okay,
You
so
know what
we're
I'm-
giving them, though, the flexibility to kind of determine that themselves, essentially?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Is it a discussion item? No other questions? Okay. Moving on to 13Q, Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution approving amendments to the clerk of the council's job description and posting the position. Whereas the clerk of the council has given the town council her resignation, and whereas it is important for the town to fill this position as soon as possible, and whereas the town council has discussed the proposed amendments to the clerk of the council's job description and the details of such posting, now therefore may it be resolved that the South Windsor Town Council approves the amendments of the clerk of the council's job description and authorizes Vanessa Perry, Assistant Town Manager / Director of Human Resources, to post the position.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any okay. All those, we did it. No, motion carries. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just clarify?
Sure.
You kind of moved really fast on that. So does that mean everything I emailed is fine by you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you're posting the position, yes. We've just authorized, yes, you have our blessing. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor?
Councilor Paterna.
Ms. Perry, thank you for answering all of our questions. I think that was amazing that you responded to each of us. So thank you. Everything's fine, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And moving on to item number 15. We went from 13 to 15. There's no 14? Okay. Item 15, public input on any matter. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? And seeing none, moving on to item 16, communications from the council. Any communications from the council? Seeing none. Item 17.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to update you. I have information on the pediatric vaccination clinic, which is going to be held on 11/27 at Evergreen Walk from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., ages 5 to 11 only. No appointment needed.
And are they then following it up 3 weeks later with a second clinic for the second
Yeah, I believe you
dose?
schedule it when you go in there, is my understanding. So when you go in, you get your first shot, then they schedule it for the second one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Moving on to item number 17, executive session. Deputy Mayor, oh, just a minute, please. Clerk of the Council?
I would just like to, when you read this in, to add after subsection 1-210 on each one.
Oh, before statutes 1-210? Okay. Where's, you see it? Okay, it's 1-210 on all of them. Okay. We'd like to invite the town manager and the assistant town managers to join us.
You want me to invite? So we're going to executive session right now, but we want to invite the town manager as well as the, who are we inviting to?
2 assistant town managers.
Oh, okie dokie, the 2 assistant town managers to join us in this executive session so that we can have this discussion and keep it moving.
Yes. So you have to read 17.
Oh, thank you. All right. I'm wondering, I'm like, why am I
It's your
reading?
first time on
You
the
know what I
job,
mean?
so.
I'm like, why am I reading all this stuff? My name ain't on here. Okie dokie, to discuss the possible purchase of real estate for the town pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-210B, 7 Sullivan Avenue. B, to discuss the possible purchase of real estate for the town pursuant to Connecticut's General Statutes 1-210B, 7 Strong Road. And C, to discuss the possible purchase of real estate for the town pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-210B, 7 Griffin Road.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries, and I'd like to let the community know that we will be adjourning from the executive session, and I'd like to wish you all a good night, and we will see you in 3 weeks. Thank you.